Well, he got a ticket for having the tail up in Ada. He didn't have the tail. Then he got a letter and they took his driver's license.
Yes. And what
So
he
the kid
said,
can't drive.
so what he said?
He's upset.
Oh.
He's got to find some money and pay the ticket.
Just a year with Hannah Dillard and people in the school system on the infusion of the philosophy of nonviolence as practiced by Martin Luther King into the educational process for our young people in this community. And we were asked to come and provide kind of a briefing this morning on what this approach is all about. The materials here in this briefing booklet is something for you to look at. If you want to purchase one at the end of the session, you can. But it's kind of a reference point that introduces the Kingian Nonviolence Conflict Reconciliation Program. And it has about 5 of the 26 modules of the training curriculum included in it. This is something that we try to use with people who are interested in exploring what this program is all about before making 3, 5, 8-day commitments to enter into the process. The associates that I have here today, it's really kind of a pleasure to have everybody here. First of all, Ed Hirschberger, who originally was from Dayton, but he's from New York. Ed is a cinematographer, and we were conscientious objectors together in 1962. I grew up in the Church of the Brethren, as did Ed, which is one of the 3 historic peace churches, and having a policy of opposition to war and to any means of violent force, why we were conscientious objectors. And he served his time in Nigeria, I served my time in Chicago, on the west side. Secondly, Captain Charles Alphen, who's a retired police captain originally from St. Louis after 26 years in the police force. Captain Alphen is the Director of Training and Education at the Martin Luther King Center in Atlanta, Georgia. He's done training in the former Soviet Union. He's helped open up hostage problems in Lithuania. He's trained in Haiti and spent 4.5 months in South Africa, helping to provide training for about 220,000 people in terms of nonviolence and making sure nobody could disrupt the election that took place in 1993 or 94. So he has a lot of experience. In late 70s, early 80s, he got involved with us and took this program into the St. Louis Police Force, into his work as a commander in charge of homicide, and it's just, he's one of the great new national leaders. He didn't have anything to do with Martin Luther King at the time, but he's come along at this time, and really has made a contribution here, and you'll get a chance to get acquainted with him in a few minutes. Bernard Lafayette, Dr. Lafayette is president of American Baptist College in Nashville, Tennessee, where as a student, because it's a seminary as well, in 1959 he was involved in the development of the nonviolent campaign in Nashville that was part of the sit-in movement. And along with quite a core of leadership, student leaders from Nashville universities and colleges, became the backbone of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Bernard Lafayette and I have been working as a team since 1964, when we brought him to Chicago.
Thank you very much, David. And I'm more than a couple of years older than David. But I should just sort of start off my day just saying, you know, why I spend time doing this kind of thing. You know, busy as my schedule is. I was thinking yesterday all the things I did in one run of a day, being president of a college, small college that's struggling, and one of my missions, of course, is you know, an interest in higher education, making sure that we preserve $48 million for new prisons that we have. And you know, they really think about young people, and they get younger and younger. I mean, going to prison, that's where they're going to spend their lives. And then they're getting these policies where they're giving them, you know, mandatory sentences and that kind of thing. So they know where they're going to be. It's permanent housing for a significant subgroup in our society. Now, no one's helping these young people. This certainly is not the solution to the problem. We have more people in our population jailed than any other country. I mean, it was, except political prisoners, I mean, you know, in war, or something like that. And it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to us. Grown, mature, professional people. And we can't do any better than this with our youth. So I'm interested in reaching people who have commitment, have an openness to try some new things, and also some people who have the confidence that violence can be overcome. We either will be overcome by violence, or we will help to overcome violence. And I believe it's possible. So I'm here this morning because of my own personal commitment, what I think is possible. There has to be some connection between the behavior of these young people and the violence that they experience in their life, and the sense of self-worth. By the way, I need to tell you this. These folks who are involved in this violence, they are not afraid to die. And they're also not afraid to take you out. I mean, that's their sense of value about life. I mean, it's serious. I mean, this is soon to shoot you. I mean, Charles was telling me about an incident just the other day. And the work that he's doing with the young people. We all both have groups that we work with on a weekly basis, these young boys, so we're pretty close to the situation. Tell you some things, make your eyebrows, you know, jump. But there is a sense that life is so instant. So, you know, they have no compunction, no regret about taking somebody's life. I mean, that's why it happens, just like that. And then the other thing, they're not afraid to die. They said, well, so what? I mean, they haven't lived. I'm talking about 13, 14-year-old boys. They haven't lived yet. We have workshops with them, you know, in the prisons. That's part of our training. We do, people working on a certification, they have opportunities to train these young people in prison. And well, it's phenomenal in terms of what we have experienced with them. But we're saying is what Martin Luther King advocated had to do with a person re-examining their own lives and their sense of self-worth. And that's where it has to start. So nonviolence does not start out there. Nonviolence starts with the individual. And it's challenging because we're not talking about just the individuals who are involved in the violence. We're talking about all people in terms of our responsibility for what is happening in our society. This was one of the greatness of Martin Luther King. He could prick the conscience of us all. Ms. Lausa left her home in Detroit, went down, you know, Archbishop, you know, those marches and things, you know, all the Methodists, all the Jews, the rabbis, everybody joined Martin Luther King. And it wasn't a black cause. It was larger than that. Happened to be some people of color having this particular problem. But the problem of the right to participate in government was universal. The fact that you know, in terms of our democracy, I mean, we were hypocritical. They had all these people in the South who were systematically denied the right to vote. When they attempted to vote, they were shot at, and their house was bombed, churches burned, fired from their jobs. And the rest of our, you know, country just went on as usual. These folks never participated in an election. And, you know, we criticized South Africa and all these other places. In our own country. So Martin Luther King said we have to dramatize this. And this was his approach. You could always file a lawsuit, you know. But, you know, that has its place, you know, in certain situations. Martin Luther King said, no, this is too urgent. We've got to dramatize this. And Martin Luther King believed that the American people, if they knew the extent of this problem, they would join in and solve it. And you know what? He was right. Because the people who voted in the voting right bill in Congress, the voters' right bill in Congress, were not black. Because black folks weren't there. Yeah, a few blacks. It was America. It was our country. It was the people who were outraged here in Ohio, who said, no, we're not going to tolerate this any longer. Okay? So Martin Luther King was instrumental in helping us to become more human and to have a more sense of who we were. He's just not concerned about the black people standing up and having dignity. He was also concerned about the whites. You can't be a full human being yourself until you're a fellow human beings. You see, you have experience the same kind of equality and dignity and self-respect. The individual. It also requires that we look beyond personalities to issues, and that we work for the good of all people and try to bring the best out of even our opponents. George Wallace. I tell you what, George Wallace did more for black education than perhaps any other governor. You know why? Because he created all these community colleges. Every one of these counties, they have a community college. Who do you think go to these community colleges? Folks who can't afford to go to four-year colleges and stuff like that, etc. Master black people getting technical skills and stuff like that. You see them working on the highways, operating, sophisticated equipment and stuff like that all through Alabama. Telephone companies and stuff like that. Everybody's not going to be a professor in college. But those community colleges did it. So, I want to just conclude with that note and simply say that, and we'll talk later about the kind of, I think Charles talked about the kind of response that we've gotten from these programs, where we have been involved with these youth who have been victims of violence as well as victimizers.